Are we gonna sync the sound or no?
Yeah, let me clap it.
Cool.
Okay. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Buried Lore at Libertalia. Today we are going to be discussing the what is that game? Board game called Dark Age. It is a skirmish style game, and it is a very fascinating game to me personally because I think it's sci-fi post-apocalyptic, which you generally don't see. It's set not like on Earth, and it's not general causes for apocalypses to happen that happened. It was something else. But today we're having Scooter here with us in order to help us better explain, because he knows more about Dark Age than us three.
Why are you nodding?
You want to give us that?
I'm trying to figure out how to do this.
Not you. I want to get him.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Just the lowdown or
I want to stand up.
concept.
Hold on. Wait, don't.
What are you doing with that?
Just go with the Scotty right. He's trying to.
All right. The whole overarching storyline is mostly about the Forsaken faction, and so at the beginning, there's this planet that's off the beaten path for the United Worlds Federation, right? And all these mega corporations go to it to do bad things, right?
Like we mean bad things.
Manufacture arms and do like bioengineering and experimentation and stuff. Yes, things that shouldn't happen anywhere else. So they're not under the purview of the United Worlds. And so they realize they're doing that, and then the United Worlds dissolves, right? While they're on planet.
Like the United World's like government dissolves?
Yeah.
So
There's
it's like a
civil
huge
war,
government.
and there's infighting, and it just dissolves, and everybody important gets lifted off the planet. But it's hush hush, right?
Do you know what the planet's name is? Do you remember?
They call it Atter.
Yep.
ATTR.
Okay.
But
But
I
it
would
changes
say
its name.
the savant should know. He remembers all kinds of little names.
The savant. Hot water burns the babies. But so
Everyone gets lifted off. Then.
right, all the important people get lifted off this planet, and all the peons, janitors, people that were part of the experiments, get left there, and they start realizing it. So they start infighting, and basically water and food becomes really scarce because the United World stops. All these mega corporations stop bringing in shipments of goods for these corporations, right?
So they were the ones that kind of like. But could you grow food on this planet though?
No, it's a dead
too-
planet.
Well,
Dead.
I thought you read that there was farms, but the people like kind of broke down society and they let the farms go to crap.
Yeah, but just because they had no resources
But the thing
anymore.
is,
No
probably
water
like-
was brought to the planet anymore.
I would
Whatever.
assume it would be like greenhouses kind of things though.
Yeah,
So
for sure,
limited
had to.
space, limited. I mean,
So this
No,
all
I mean-
takes place on one planet.
yeah. This planet, it's called. I got it right here. I mean, it's called ATTR, but the original name was A23-Q4B.
Right. Yeah. Right. So anyway, it devolves into warring tribes and stuff, and then somewhere along the line, somebody gets a hold of a Bible. They never say it explicitly, but they do.
Yeah.
So they get a hold of a Bible, and they get fear of God basically, and so in the main city, it's called Port City. The Prevailers, which you don't know they're the Prevailers yet, but they're basically the ruling council of the only civilized area left on the planet. They rule all the populace, but there's these outlying colonies where these people start calling themselves saints, right? So they think they're divine and they have direct lines to their god or whatever, and so they start gaining power. And let's see. Let me think my thoughts here.
Think my thoughts.
Think my thoughts. So the Prevailers realize that the Saints are getting too powerful, that they could make the populace rise up against them, right? And so they get together, and this is actually when they start their new calendar, when they start calling themselves the Prevailers. It's, you know what I mean, like BC and AD, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So they start their council, the Prevailers, and they say, we're going to send all these saints on crusades. So their worst thing is they could go out and get new technology for the humans, or they could die. That's the best scenario, because they don't want the saints around anymore.
Yeah.
So,
So these are prevailers. They're the ones that are almost like setting up the artificial new government kind of thing.
yes. And they are dirty. Woo! They do bad things.
But they but like as I understand, they're basically using like a religion to like tie them all together, and they're like kind of like a little bit of religious fanatics.
Oh, yeah. They're Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
For sure.
and then they're going ham. What
Because-
about the? Yeah,
Sorry.
continue.
Well, you get the 4 saints, right? Actually, there was 5 in the beginning. There was Matthew, Mary, John, Luke, and Mark. And Mark was the first. He's my favorite, even though he's kind of a pedophile, which is weird. But you know. Well, he goes around. He recruits all the young women that are kind of homeless and turns them into like elite killers. So, but he's my main faction that I play, Saint Mark.
He's the outcast?
No, he's Forsaken.
Forsaken?
Yeah.
I think we learned a little bit about Scotty today. I'm just kidding.
Creepy look at the camera. So anyway, Luke, they all get sent to every point of the compass because the Prevailers don't want them in one area for an uprising. And John ends up going south to where the Brood are. It's the only swamp on the entire planet, right? And you find out what the Brood are later. They're pretty nasty. They were the experimental bioweapons, basically. So
Of the
People.
the
Corporations
previous, the
beforehand?
corporations. But there's been like a hive mind that's taken them over called the Broodmere. And so she creates pretty gnarly stuff. So, but John goes down there, and these swamps, even though there's water, it's totally fetid, nasty, garbagey stuff. So there's no good to it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then Saint Mark, he gets sent after the Dragiri. They don't even know they're out there, but they find Dragiri are the natives for the planet.
Alien species.
Right.
Okay.
And the Dragiri have been there all along, but they've been underground because a long time ago a meteor was going to hit the planet. And this could be I'm not positive on this, but yeah. They all went underground, had their own civil war, and when they came back up, all these humans were here. They're like, wait a dang minute. Who are you? But no, that's the basic gist of it. So the Forsaken and all their saints and their various factions are out there
Doing
starting wars. Yeah.
Okay. And then there was another faction too that could.
Kukulkani. Yeah.
Kukulkani,
I don't
like
know who
aliens who hated the people that
Alien
were
Aztecs.
underground.
And they hated the core too. When the core woke up, the core was who St. Luke actually found. And they were the autonomous robots. And they became like murder bots because they feed on
Energies,
Biomass.
biomaterial. So they want to kill and harvest people and their parts to continue to run.
Well, I actually read that part. The core is actually pretty cool because the way it was like worded and all that, it was like to do good. Like they would send like the core to a planet and it would make it habitable. And so when it got awoken, it said that it only had parts of its code only written. So one was fill robotic shells within network with core codifications. 2, send robotic extensions to gather resources and repurpose for the expansion of core. 3, adapt code to circumvent obstacles to expand, but then the code was stopped. So it's almost like, okay, go out and multiply and kill everything to multiply, but then they forgot to leave off that code of like, and then help build.
Right.
So it's kind of like,
rebuild
they just go and
civilization.
kill, and then,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
They're nasty. They actually have sex bots. Ooh. And they're terrible in the game. Let me tell you, boy. Bad news.
So go back to the main. There was a group that you said did a lot of bad things.
That was the Forsaken.
No.
No. So the Forsaken are the group, but then
You mean
it's
the mega
Prevailers.
corporations
Yeah.
over there?
What kind of bad things they do?
Well, just experimentation and stuff, and they created grafting, which becomes a huge part of Dark Age. Grafting is adding bionic parts to people, cyborgs and stuff. And it basically gets to the point where the Prevailers outlaw grafting because they think it's heretical. So
And they also do like the bioweapons, such as the Brood. That's how the Brood was created. It's like they're doing like bioweapon experiments, and what they did when like they were going off world, they destroyed some of them, and other ones they like ejected out into the swamp to die. So like it's a swamp, like it's disgusting, nothing can live there. But instead, this thing just like collected a bunch of biomass and became the Broodmere, like Scotty said, and then it started going ham and just destroying a bunch of things and creating its own monsters. It was,
yeah, she
so
creates
it
her
would kill
lieutenant.
predators, and then it would create its own
Okay.
things.
So from the brief description I read, so what this planet was, it was rich in a particular mineral or whatever. It's kind of weird.
Unobtainium.
No. It's, hold on one second. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to find it here.
I don't remember this part.
So I was looking that up. How the Saints get so tough? I mean, weren't they just like anybody
There
else?
were people that were influential enough and had enough money to basically bring the idiot populace to their side.
But in the game, they're pretty tough.
Yeah, they are. So they have the most resources to go and find lost technology to like. So that's how Saint Mark got his gun. It's called God's Light, and he's like the only person that has this gun because he found it. As far as I know, he found it, or he manufactured it.
Well, if you think about it, any higher ups in any tribal situation are gonna have the best of the best, so that's probably why.
And everything's broken. All the technology is failing, and they can't figure out how to reduplicate it at this point.
They can't re-engineer it.
No.
Well, it's because they're a bunch of.
They don't
at this
have
point,
any
they're a bunch of
resources for it
savages.
It's
either.
because they went like the collapse happened, and then everything like went to crap for like 300 years, and then everyone was like, "Oh wait, we should actually probably try saving this stuff." And then the purveyors and the whole government got set up.
So that original element was called xenosathum. Yeah, but it says it combines properties of crystalline materials, energetic wavelengths, and invasive viral agents. So it's really valuable. So this planet wasn't worth harvesting because it was too toxic and dead, like he was saying. But these corporations were like, but there's still stuff there. So it was outside of the realm of this UW, the United Worlds. It was just barely outside of their jurisdiction. So when these corporations went there, they were outside of the law. So then they could just do things they wanted
right.
that weren't, that like, for example, biochemicals. Like, oh, we can make this, but we can't really test it because we're within the UW control. So outside of, they're like, oh, we found this planet, so I guess we'll just do it there.
So what about the Jugiri? There's multiple factions within the Jugiri, right?
Mm-hmm. There's fire cast, ice cast, air cast, shadow cast, and some earth cast. So it's just basically up the elements.
Mm-hmm. And they control the elements.
As I understood it, like back in the day, they were like aliens that or like that were landed on this planet, and then they once upon a time repelled like the other alien race, the people that worship the Quetzal.
Yeah, the Kukulkani.
Yeah, Kukulkani. Like those guys tried invading once upon a time, but the Jugiri fought them back, and they left. But the Jugiri, what they were like a caste system where there was like the smaller, hyper intelligent beings that controlled the bigger, dumber beings. And like that's how it was for a long time, and they're like a spacefaring civilization. But these people got stuck on this planet, and then basically they went underground. Infighting happened, the civil wars happened, like he was saying, and it flipped. So the big, strong people started dominating and started ruling.
They realized we're tough. We don't got to listen to you anymore.
And now the little people are all the slaves, and the big people are not.
They're the trueborn.
Yeah, they're the.
Why'd they go under? They went underground because a meteor was going to hit the planet or something, right?
I don't remember.
I read that somewhere, but I'm kind of iffy on it.
I can look it up, but yeah. So I really enjoy this because just reading through it briefly, like I only have like the briefest of things on it. Like none of this is very in depth on it.
I have like 4 paragraphs.
Oh, you read books. You like him.
It's pretty great because it ties in a lot of the different aspects of all the different types of sci-fi, I should say. Mm-hmm. It ties in the post-apocalyptic. It ties in games such as, or like technological overtaking games such as what's that game?
I don't know.
No,
it's Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, you knew? And you were holding out?
Yeah.
What a jerk!
That's why I see if you can figure it out.
You like figure it out, man.
And then it ties in like the super strong aliens with the Kulakani or whatever their names are.
They're the only thing I don't think fits as well.
Which
because
ones?
the Kukulkani. But they kind of had a beacon go off because they were out in space doing gosh knows what. And it's like, oh, the core woke up. We got to go back.
Yeah, and then they also have a grudge match with the short people and big people.
Yeah,
I have
the
horrible
Jugiri.
names. Yeah. Yeah, they also have a grudge match with them, but the Jugiri don't remember. But yeah, they got repelled, and so they're angry. But anyways, it ties all that in. It ties in the super strong aliens from games such as, like, if you look at StarCraft, the Protoss in StarCraft are
Oh, they're so Protoss. They even look like Protoss.
Yeah. And then,
It's
like,
a
you have
rip-off,
the
but
Brood, which ties in, like, the monster that destroys other things, eats it, and then
Or like
poops out its
Zerg.
own things.
Like
Similar
Zerg.
to Zerg.
Yep.
And then you have, like,
The core.
that core, which is
The Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it really interesting that you have all these different aspects, and you have like the hyper-religious zealots that
They're my favorite.
usually happens,
The Forsaken.
or like there's is a theme with post-apocalyptic worlds, is people turn hyper-religious, and then they use that religion to dominate and to destroy, and to do stuff like that.
I think it ties in really well with one another, like how the factions appeared and all that. It just makes sense.
It makes
great
sense, except for the
background. It's some of the
Cooper
great. Yeah, they're the only weird one that's kind of
So,
off the beaten path.
You have various sizes. How this dude? Is it mutation? How do you get so big?
He's a scarred. So scarred are the mutated weirdos that live out in the desert, right? And they're like cannibals. They're bad news, and they are constantly pumped full of toxins and any cocktails of nastiness they can find, and they get all sorts of weird mutations from it.
Yeah, from the short thing I read, they value their strength off of pain and suffering. So if you can go through all this tremendous amount of pain and suffering through toxins and mutations, then you're ultimately like the best warrior you can be. And if you die, well, you weren't fit for our clan. Our
Who's
tribe,
the big
whatever.
guy with the pieces of cement for shields?
Mongo.
Mongo.
So yeah, he's an outcast.
You know,
No.
The outcasts were forsaken. That kind of said,
You're
thanks, but no thanks. We'll go and make our own way.
Yeah, they're kind of like, your rules are
How'd
dumb.
Mongo get so big?
They're a certain breed of human that are called brutes, and then when the biggest brute gets to a certain, they feed them growth hormones every day, right? Basically, they get to a certain point where they're so huge they can become the protector of their people, and Mongo is too dumb for that, right? So, but the actual protector, Candygram, the actual protector got killed in combat, so they went back to Mongo and said, "We need you." And so he's like, "Okay." Mongo smash.
Because we got
Give
to
me beans.
we got to understand.
You've had enough. Sorry.
Because we got to understand about this game why they look so big and all that is because they don't have normal food. They were left behind all the artificial crap that could just last forever, like growth hormones, like pretty much space MREs, and that's why they're so big. Because actual food ran out, and so they find all this stuff that lasts forever, and it happened to be full of growth hormones or
or they eat each other.
biochemicals or whatever.
Right.
Because you have to realize that these corporations, that's what they're doing, making things to make the better,
The
stronger
game system's a
human.
blast. I mean, I played it a few times, and
It's awesome.
I love how it plays.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if you look, do you know much about, I want to go back to the Brood. I think the Brood was probably the most fascinating when I was reading through it. Do you know much about the Brood?
Not a lot. They're the only faction they don't own for the game.
Oh.
They look like giant slugs.
But like
There's
that, I was
all
like,
sorts of
looking
stuff,
at
dude,
it.
and they have some questionable things on the figures. Let's say that. Questionable.
Oh, yeah?
Like certain appendages.
Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, back to the
File.
Don't want you.
Just take that away.
Circumcised.
Sorry. No, that's disgusting.
Yeah, but from what I understand from the brief thing I read, they were like the biochemical crap that these corporations were making and failed experiments. So what happened is half of them were the ones that were actually like fully grown or mutated. They were locked away and it's kind of like shoved on the ground, and then the rest were pumped out into this swamp because they're like, yeah, we don't want you. And then they formed a hive mind, and then they understood that like, oh hey, there's bigger, badder ones that are buried. So they went and freed them, and
Right, and they were actually the thinking ones, the ones that had a little bit of
The intelligence.
autonomy from the Broodmere. So she had 3 lieutenants that she popped out. Halexa is one of them. MJB1, he's called Mean Jellybean. I can't remember them, but there's another one too, and they're the ones that are the leaders of her force.
yeah.
Were you finished with your line of thought?
No, I was actually just going to ask to have Scotty and them help explain a little bit. I really like it because it shows the contrast of the Brood, which is like the biological side, and the Core, which is the mechanical, cold side. And they're like, they have the same purpose, essentially. Go devour things, grow bigger, devour their biomass, grow
Oh, I didn't
bigger,
think about that.
devour their biomass, grow bigger. And they're basically the same thing. They're just going about it 2 different ways, and they're 2
And
different,
they were both human made too.
and they're both man-made. So a lot of what I see from Dark Age is just human mistakes, basically.
Yeah,
It's just like they made
the whole
tons of
plan was a
mistakes.
big mistake.
And then it all went to crap, and then now Dark Age's planet is a thing.
My thing is though, is that do the corporations ever come back?
No, not as far as I've read into it. So,
So, do you know what happens to any other planet? So, once the corporations leave, do you really go? Does the lore ever go into other things, other planets, of what happens to the
Or is it
United Worlds?
just-
no,
the
it just says there was civil wars and other governments rose up and stuff on that. That's basically.
So why don't the
just
Dragiri unite? Why are they all divided? Or are they?
No, they're divided to a certain extent. So the Ice Cast are all the Trueborn are males, right? And so Yavanka, who's the leader of the air caste, said females are just as good. No, you're gonna take that part out.
Females are good.
Captain Marvel. Sorry. And so anyway, the air caste, and so they actually made their own faction, and they're just as good as combatants. They're not so brutish. They're a little more elegant, but yeah, they're just as good. And
so when you say like Firecast, do they control that element? I'm assuming.
well, it's just kind of what
They just
they
pattern
work.
themselves.
Yeah,
after.
everything they have just kind of works off that. But yeah, but I mean, like the Firecast have little imps that are little like volcano imps. I don't even know what to call them. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, the Ice Cast. I mean, some of the guys have huge crossbows that shoot frozen bolts and stuff, can freeze you in place in the game. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
With it, what is you? So you said your favorite faction's the Preservers, huh? Forsaken. That's what they're called. Forsaken. Why did you choose Forsaken over all the other ones? Because you usually play like the trolls or the.
I know. I played the humans, straight up humans.
Yeah, you just played the boring ones.
I know. They're the best. You're incorrect. No, I don't know. I just I can't remember why I picked them. It's been too long.
Don't you have a exclusive or limited edition fig in that?
Yeah, St. Mark.
There?
Who? Yeah, he was limited. I can't remember where I got him. He's kind of ugly, but he's like a 15-year-old fig now.
He's like what?
He's like 15 years old now.
Oh, you had this game's that old?
Oh, dude, it was around for a long time. It was before even Cool Mini got a hold of it. It was around for a long time.
Interesting.
Christian actually, when we played War Machine, brought this to me the third week at End Zone and said, "This looks like a cool game. We should play it." And I was like, "Yeah, it does. I'll buy all sorts of stuff."
Why don't we play it?
I'd play it. I'd drop everything for this game, man.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
You like
I
that much?
even started making a bunch of terrain to
Yeah, I'm
entice
already
them.
learning Age of Sigmar. I can't bounce over to a different game.
I could.
I'll still play Age of Sigmar, don't worry. But this game it's fun and it's totally different. But
Is it?
But the thing is, though, this genre is my favorite.
And this,
Well,
and this
it's two of
game-
my
The
favorites.
problem is, I think, is this game dying?
yeah,
So if you want
It's-
miniatures for it, you have to get them now.
they haven't come out and said it's dead, but it's dead.
It's hard to get a hold of miniatures.
That's sad.
Well.
It sounds like it has a cool lore to me.
Not.
It's amazing, and all the artwork, at least the original artwork, was from Gerald Brom. So that's what made it kind of a popularized thing.
Gerald Brom.
He makes a lot of weird artwork. You look him up, you'll see, you'll know, you'll go, "Oh yeah, okay, I've seen that."
Okay.
So just
Yeah,
strange
the artwork
stuff.
is pretty cool.
But one of the cool stories I was gonna bring up is actually St. Mark's opening story, and St. Mark's not even in it. But one of his elite assassins is out in the desert, right? And she's hunting, and she finds an animal, and she's ready to kill it, and all of a sudden a huge crossbow bolt punctures her abdomen and pins her to the ground, right? And she's sitting there bleeding out, and this huge being walks up and blots out the sun. She's staring at it, and it's a Dragiri, but they don't know that. They've never seen him before. And anyway, these Dragiri are supposed to be all honorable and stuff in combat, right? And so Dragiri stands her back up while she's dying and hands her spear and basically, motions for her to fight. She's going into shock, so she's trying to fight back, but it's not working out so good. But this is gross at the end, by the way. Anyway, so she's fighting him, and he's beating the crap out of her, and she ends up trying to stab him with her spear, and he pins it between his shoulder and his jawbone and breaks it in half. And then he picks her up and jams his knife under her throat. And then this is gross. Dragiri, I read it and I was like, "Oh!" It's from her point of view, the girl who's getting killed, right? And she says she can feel the alien's fingers going in her mouth, and then she rips her jawbone off, and it keeps it as a trophy. When they kill somebody, they tear their jawbone off their face and keep it. I was like, "Oh!"
Ow.
Huh?
That's ow.
Yeah, I know. And they just have 3 big old fat fingers, so 2 huge fingers go in your mouth and
That was the ice cast.
yeah. Yeah, just the whole visuals that brought on is like, whoa.
And I have the fire.
The Firecast are different though. So they've realized that we might be bigger and stronger than the little guys we ended up putting into slavery, but they're smarter than us. So we might want to use them to start making weapons for us. That's why they have all the shields and cool spears and stuff. So
I just think they could paint it up so much.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
I'm looking forward to it. As soon as I get some time, I've kind of had to put all that on the back burner.
Why?
Yeah. What could possibly be taking your time, John?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a cool. I mean, I didn't know there was that much lore.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
The stink? It's got some funk on it, huh?
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay.
Oh, there's another central character to this. You want me to tell you about it real quick?
Yes.
No,
All right.
obviously.
So this guy, actually, on the front of the book right here, he is a saint. Doesn't look like one, does he? So he was Saint Johann, and when the
Got the book
Prevailers
for me real
came
quick.
out, yeah,
Show
that's.
it. The pale guy.
Mm-hmm. When the Prevailers came out and said grafting is heretical, don't do it. He said, "Well, I kind of like doing it. I dig it." So he's got this fortress out in the middle of nowhere, and he's experimenting on people, adding grafting cybernetic parts to him. So anyway, the Prevailers come to shut him down, and he fights his way out, kills a bunch of them, and takes off out into the desert. So anyway, he gets accepted by the Scarred, who are those mutants out in the desert, right? And he turns into a father of the Scarred. So, and he brings this entire grafted cybernetic monstrosities, and he ends up becoming like their biggest problem for the humans. So, it's kind of cool. He's one of my favorites.
Just because he liked grafting and the people said no grafting.
Yeah, and he's kind of nuts. And he ends up grafting himself. He ends up with extra arms and all sorts of
So
garbage.
it's kind of nuts like the Fury Road leader. Nuts.
Yeah, Morton Joe. Yeah,
Kind
even
of.
kind of looks like him. Has white hair,
Yeah,
pale
because
skin.
when he pointed him out, I was like, that's my first impression was Fury Road,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Morton Joe.
and except he
Grosser?
fits more of Morton Joe fits more of the who's the guy named that was a pedophile?
St. Mark.
Type mark.
St. Mark.
Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so who are the leaders of the? I was gonna ask. There's a clan in here. The Outcasts. Who are the leaders of the Outcasts? Do they have leaders, or are they all in their own little bands?
They all have their own warlords. There's a couple leaders that are named. I haven't read a lot about them, but there's a few different factions. So there's the slave trading outcasts, and they have a couple leaders and stuff. But then
they're
there's the
all
brutes who Mongo is part of. But the brutes can't be taken in the same faction with the slave traders because they got a special rule that says under no man, they won't be under the lash, right? Basically, so while they're the same faction, they're very separate.
Interesting. So that one would even have infighting in and of itself. So it's not like they're unified. They're just like all broken into one group, though.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense. And
They're
then
just
there's-
lumped because they got salt nomads too, who are kind of nomads who are out there just wandering around, and they end up looking kind of weird. I have their book, but I haven't read much about them either, unfortunately.
What about the bounty hunters?
Bounty hunters are, up until the point I stopped playing it, they could only work for the Forsaken or the Outcast, and they just kind of ran the gamut. They had all sorts of different stuff.
So they're just like, okay, so they're not like their own faction. They're just
No.
add-ons.
They
helpers.
just plop one
Mercs.
into your army.
Okay.
Yep.
Like mercs.
Makes sense.
The core is what I think is super cool. Just this robot going around eating people.
They're brutal. They're nasty.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry, we had a malfunction with the camera. So
How do you know it's in sync? Sorry.
in sync?
That noise.
He
Shouldn't
syncs it
have.
up with the noise.
Yeah.
That clap.
Your program can
Clap
do it
on.
for you, can't it?
Clip on.
The clapper.
So, my
Oh, that one hurt.
my question is
Wait,
why do you
give me a
guys
second.
like apocalyptic
I gotta
so
recover.
much?
I gotta recover. Hold on one second.
No,
You
we're
hear
asking a
something
question here.
I like apocalyptic personally because it's like it turns people into more base, and it turns okay, post-apocalyptic is like turns people more human in my opinion. There's a lot more mistakes that happen, and it's a lot more like you play for keeps. That's why I like post-apocalyptic personally.
There's something on the line.
And I also think that you're willing to give things up, and your death is not that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah.
It seems like in apocalypse, because you feel like you're almost already there anyway because of your living conditions. It's like, well, this sucks anyway, so how's it gonna get worse? I'm gonna die.
Well, any like post-apocalyptic, the main thing that is always at the core of all of it is basic human instinct is survival,
Yeah. It's,
which is like built into everybody.
People
I
get
mean-
real bad when they're trying to survive.
Well, they either get real bad or they get real good.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no in the middle of the road. You either sacrifice yourself for the greater good, or you become that douchebag that comes in and just takes over everything to survive. I mean, look at any post-apocalyptic Walking Dead. You have both. You have both sides.
Book of Eli.
Book of Eli. That's a really good
Eli's a
show.
really
That is a great show. Great show.
Spoiler. He's blind.
Yeah. He hears things really good.
That was like that, or even like Horizon Zero Dawn, like
Waterworld.
Waterworld,
Ooh, I love Waterworld.
Last of Us,
You like
video
Waterworld?
game.
It's a great movie.
Dude,
Great
Waterworld's
movie.
way. It's a little slow for me. It's like Submarine.
Well,
One
there were
for
some
me,
issues
above
with
the
it when
water.
it was produced.
Okay.
Well,
I loved it. It's like, you got webbed toes. Wow.
I do too.
Do you?
No,
I have a tail.
no, but that's I think. But you see, look at all these movies. It's based survival, and you have the two extremes. Either you're going to be really good, or I mean, the main characters usually are. That's why I like post-apocalyptic. And there's a sense of adventure. You can go places that normally you couldn't go. Oh, I found a nuclear power plant. You can just normally walk up to that, but and then just cut the lock. Let's go on in.
Right.
What the hell is that?
Biohazard, who cares?
I don't know. That's
Why do you like
about it.
post-apocalyptic, Sandy?
I don't know. I was a freak for the Mad Max movies when I was a kid, so yeah, they had a huge impact on me. I don't know why. Just the
Oh,
whole
the original with Mel Gibson.
yeah, the aesthetic of it.
Gibbs.
Mel
Gibbs.
Mel buddy.
What's up, Gibbs?
We're close.
The aesthetic of it. I don't know.
You wanna be
I can't
close.
pinpoint what else it would have been. It's just how it looks and how it feels. It's so ominous. Everything's ominous about it. So it's like,
And you also see a lot of creativity too.
Yeah.
Oh, I have this broken car. Let's slap something on there.
and everybody lives in forts. What kind of kid doesn't want to live in just a huge freaking fort, right?
I agree with that.
I totally agree. We got
think
one
I
on Joe
proposed
and
to
Fury
my-
Road.
Right.
Because a
Proposed to my
freaking,
fiance in
I don't even know what you call that landmass giant pillar
My
of rock.
cliff spire thing. Water comes out when I say it does.
The only problem I have with the original like Mad Max is that you don't know what's happening in the first two.
Yeah, they're a
And
little
it's like,
screwy.
whoa, oh, this is the end of the world. But
Oh, look, he's in a
you're
cage and
police,
he's
though.
fighting a guy that's got a mascot. It's so cool.
I understand.
No, this game is fun.
I love it.
It really is.
And there's another game, which I know you love to hear, but there is another game that came off Kickstarter a while ago. But it is so freaking cool, and I've almost bought it just to have it. So it's called Drowned Earth.
I've seen that people are demoing online, but
Around Earth.
I have.
So it's a whole different.
I don't
it's
know
not-
anything about it.
It's not deserty or anything. I don't know a lot about it, but it's just like any polar ice caps or anything have melted and covered the Earth, except and so only like the tallest skyscrapers are showing. But it's not that deep. It's not like an ocean. There's still spots of land, and you can see the tops of buildings and stuff.
So I'm going to debunk this real quick. They actually tested that, and if both the polar ice caps melted, it would only go up to shore like a couple miles.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't even take out California?
Not really. Well, we're about to add this in here. But the only places it would really affect is miles on the coast, but everything inland would be fine.
Right.
Because if you think of America as a giant island, it goes like this. So after a couple miles, it's not
Pretty safe in Utah because Utah, if you go by counties, Utah is the tallest state in the union.
Yeah? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so California and New York would be dead.
Now everybody knows where you live.
We're gonna cut this out.
Not hard to find out.
Oh.
Google his name and it pulls up Utah. Here's his address.
Facebook. Like,
Like seriously,
You can get a stalker.
Just Google.
I've had one. I
Have
thought it'd
you
be
really?
cool. Yeah, I had a stalker. I thought it'd be cool. Like I was like, I want a stalker one day, and then I had one. It's like, yeah.
No, you don't want a stalker.
Well, no, I did.
I had a stalker at work. One of my employees.
Really?
Yeah, what was his name? No, I was kidding.
Dude.
No.
If somebody was like taking pictures through my window, I'd be like posing.
No.
Here, get this shot right now.
No, mine was more like I get out of class at night, and this person was on my hood, not letting me leave.
Really?
Not letting me leave. So I'm like in my car.
Whoa.
Every time they try talking to me, so I can hear, I can catch it. Like, yeah. Now I love. I'm like, I don't want one.
I
can't hear
didn't,
you
know, I didn't know
crazy.
mine painted their eyebrows on until she came in my office one time without them. I did.
Woo!
I actually physically flinched.
Weird.
I looked up and go, and
Buffalo
we
Bill
digress. Anyway,
Put the lotion on it. Skin.
Gets the hose again.
I put the lotion in the basket.
so what's everyone's favorite post-apocalyptic scenario?
Scenario?
Or like movie
Story?
or game or story?
movie, because it had a huge impression on me as Mad Max.
Mad
Which
Max, your
one?
favorite
The original?
post-apocalyptic?
Mad Max.
Oh, original.
Why would the apocalypse come about in Mad Max? I
Well,
can't remember. It's
wait a
been too
minute.
long.
No,
It
sorry.
was Oil Wars.
Back up.
Oh, okay.
Back up.
Uh-oh.
Road Warrior.
Oh yeah.
Road
Road
Warrior.
Warrior was, yeah, I had never seen Mad Max, but the first one that really left a lasting impression on me was Road Warrior,
Mm-hmm.
and then Weird Science.
Weird Science.
No, Weird Science just had Road Warrior people in it.
Oh yeah, he showed me that scene. No, so in Mad Max, there's two things: there's oil wars and water ran out.
Okay.
And the thing is, it takes place in Australia, which is just one giant desert.
And poisonous things.
Australia might as well be the Dark Age planet. You can't go anywhere. You're screwed.
Except for the swamp, and you just
I'm gonna swim.
Some of the brood look like kangaroos.
They do.
What about you, Scotty? What's your favorite?
can't say the same.
What?
You can't say the same thing.
Can't say the same?
No, I'm just kidding. You can.
You can if you really want.
No, it's not my
Lame.
favorite. Although I loved Fury Road. It was kind of a bogus story, but it was amazing to watch. So that was cool. But it's got to be this.
You want to scoot in just a little more? There you go.
We close enough?
Yeah.
Too close?
He says.
We're over here.
Oh, sorry.
We're like having a bromance.
Yeah.
Why is it Dark Age?
So what? This is your favorite?
Yeah.
story?
Yep. I don't know, just because there's so much backstory on it, and it was at the time when I was branching out into different games, and so this caught me. This just grabbed onto me. The only game I had played up to that point was Warhammer Fantasy and a little bit of War Machine, and then I saw this and I was like, ooh, that's my thing.
Oh, War Machine. I used to play that all the time. I have a whole army. The cheese army.
Dirty old man.
Runs in the family.
Yep. Over to the
It
cheese.
was Everblight.
Oh yeah, that is the cheese army.
Everblight Mark 1.
Jiminy.
Yeah, Mark 1. Hey, I can see through everything.
Yeah, no joke.
I can shoot you. No, you can't.
All my stuff flies.
That too. Yeah, that's sweet.
What about you,
Dagrash was the only
Dagrash.
Dagrash was the only caster in that game that gave me fits. I don't know
Well, because
why.
he could resurrect
I
people.
was like cheap. Well, just the one. No, bring back whole Carnage.
You gonna bring back a whole Carnage?
Carnadine.
Carnifex? That's in 40k.
Carnivian.
Carnivian. Boom!
And that
I said
Carnivian
it too.
was brutal.
Yeah.
We're making up our own lingo over
Yeah,
here.
it's
right?
like
baby
the
dog.
car sniff in
Oh,
the
tap.
game.
What's your favorite, Jake?
I don't know. It's hard to narrow down.
You're good at bringing it back. You're good at putting it back on the rails.
Lasso. That's gonna be your new nickname, Lasso.
please no.
Conductor.
We're talking about Dark Age and post-apocalyptic, so
Yeah.
we'll talk about Dark Age and post-apocalyptic.
I don't know. It's hard to narrow down because I mean, the whole genre that I loved was zombie, but it's kind of died. And the more research and the more intelligent I get, it's harder to watch. Like Walking Dead, it just insults my intelligence because they just make mistakes. But
Wow.
going off of that is Last of Us. What?
He's gonna get a lot of haters.
It just insults my intelligence because I
It's
make
just a
mistakes.
stupid
Okay, let's start that over.
Walking Dead got dumb. Walking Dead, every freaking story, every part of it. So the new season would be like, oh, Rick and his gang find a new gang that hates them. They're gonna fight the whole season, and then Rick's gonna win. End of story. Every time, it's like zombies are a little footnote.
That's why, because they steered away from the whole zombie thing. But going towards that is Last of Us. Last
Okay,
of Us, the video
pause.
game.
Last of Us. I'll go.
The Last of Us.
Okay, yeah.
Did you fart?
What? No.
Okay. Maybe it was me.
No. My favorite is probably Last of Us. It's a video game. What?
I haven't heard of this. I'm interested. I've
Last
never
of
even
Us.
heard of it.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so Last of Us is a video game made by the company Naughty Dog. They're the ones who made Crash Bandicoot, surprisingly. And then the other series, Uncharted, which is like a
And there's a teddy bear game too.
which is like a male version of Tomb Raider
where you
because they wanted
slaughter
into that
bears.
world. I'm trying to talk.
Calm down, Lasso. Keep it over.
I'm gonna throw something at you.
So Last of Us was made by Naughty Dog, which made Crash Bandicoot, and then they made Uncharted. Uncharted is like a male version of Tomb Raider. They
Okay.
kind of wanted into that exploration, treasure hunting world.
Oh, okay.
So they made this game, and it's zombies, but they changed it differently. So there's actually a species of fungus that infect ants, and it turns it into a zombie ant. in a sense.
Ooh, that's fun.
But what in the series it jumps species and it gets to humans.
Oh.
And so then you have these zombies. But then what happens is that you're playing this guy 20 years after the infection, and you have to escort a little girl who was bitten but wasn't infected. So obviously she's immune. You have to transport her pretty much across the country as this character. But the story is just so gripping, and then the scenery is just beautiful. Which surprisingly, it has the Salt Lake Temple in it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
That's great.
It's a big part of it.
Is it?
Yeah, because one of the last stops you make is in Utah.
Great. Now people know where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Not Utah.
There's this one scene where you're looking out in this beautiful landscape, and there's a Salt Lake Temple, and it's weird because all the buildings are dead and decayed, and the temple's not. It's weird. It still looks pristine.
That's strange.
I don't know. It's just. Excuse me.
Dude, don't waft it. I got your air. I got your air. I can feel it move across me.
But then the thing is, though, so I think of post-apocalyptic, and then like.
Oh, wait. I'm in.
All right.
So,
Oh, wait. I got to show my t-shirt. Golden Girls. Yeah. I wanted that to be on the video. Yeah. Heck yeah. I love Golden Girls.
how old are you?
Pretty old. Old enough to have watched Golden Girls as a kid. My mom would look at me like, why is he watching those ladies on TV? I like Blanche. She's a hottie. Probably dead now.
You know, Betty White's not.
Nope. She can't die. Just give her a Snickers.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So, but the thing is, though, post-apocalyptic is different than sci-fi, but sci-fi has a lot of the same characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's post-apocalyptic sci-fi, I think Horizon Zero Dawn is.
All right.
Ooh, you know another
That's
good
another
game?
video game that's awesome.
Sorry. It's your turn. I'll be quiet.
Another good game.
Oh. So it kind of got a bad rap, but Bethesda made it. Rage. You ever play Rage?
Rage?
Yeah.
No.
It was post-apocalyptic, and it was a freaking blast. You end up having to go into the city and fight all these mutants, which is really reminiscent of this stuff. It was awesome. Driving around on four-wheelers and running people over and stuff. It's a
dumb.
blast. It's so fun. Dumb. I'm dumb. Walking Dead's dumb. We agreed.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite?
My favorite is probably, I like The Passage a lot. I haven't read all the books of it yet, nor have I watched the TV series, but I like The Passage.
I haven't read that either.
It's like
The series is amazing.
It's like a
Oh,
zombie.
you've been watching it?
Yeah. He's trying to talk.
I know, but you
Yeah,
to say
sorry.
spoilers if you're going to spoil it, because that's a current TV show.
I haven't watched the TV show.
Well, you read the book.
I wasn't going to spoil much, but
Passage.
anyways, I always hated how in classic zombies, like zombies such as in The Walking Dead, I hated. No, I hated how The Walking Dead zombies, how they like destroy the world. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that would actually happen. I don't think that zombies that are slow, that are dumb, could take over the world. I just don't think that would destroy humanity.
Well, the only reason they did in Walking Dead is because everyone was affected. So no matter what happened, if you died, you became one.
Yeah, but even then, I still don't think that would destroy humanity.
Yeah.
But the zombies in
I agree with that.
in The Passage are like beasts. They can't die unless you hit them like a special spot, like right here or something. That's the only part of their body that's vulnerable.
Well, they're like not even like zombies at that point.
Well, they're zombies, but
They're
like,
like
we're not going
zombie
to
It's like
vampires.
World War Z. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
They were psycho climbing up that wall in Israel and stuff. That creeps me out. That's way scarier than Walking Dead stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my
that
gosh.
zombie I could. Yeah, that's.
It's like, I'm going to freak out and
terrifying.
run after you.
Yeah, but I like the zombies in The Passage because we're going to call them zombies. Yeah, they're like vampire/zombies, but I would consider them more zombies. I like them.
It's, yeah,
Because
it's like
they're-
a hive mind almost.
Yeah, they're like hive mind, and they would actually be capable, because if you can't shoot it, you can't bomb it down, you're not going to be able to kill it. It just tears through your tank like it's nothing. Like that type of zombie's cool, and there's still people that survive. That is what I think is
Yeah.
cool. Like that would be a situation that would test humanity, I'd feel. And so that's why that's probably my favorite.
So I
book
should
about
read these books.
post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
They swear a lot, which is my only downfall for them.
Yeah, but
I'd be okay with that. I'm a bad person. So.
That won't bother you.
Okay. I'm a bad person.
I'm a bad person.
But yeah,
I'm
that's probably
of
my
questionable integrity.
All right. Well, I think that was a good one.
favorite. Yeah.
I don't think that we should go more into post-apocalyptic because there's tons of subgenres of Post Apocalyptic.
Well, thank you for joining us here at Buried Lore of Libertalia and us discussing Dark Age and the
Did
Apocalypse.
we ever introduce Scotty?
Yeah.
He's been introduced in other videos.
Oh, okay.
Plus, I introduced
see
my
my butt?
scooter.
Well, you
They've
licking
seen you
something.
licking
He's,
his
he's,
ding
a, he's a
dong.
hobby hooligan.
But yeah, that's our episode today. I hope you liked it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, share.
You know
all
what
that
time it is.
good
Hit
stuff.
that bell.
Hit the bell because
Ding, ding, ding.
that'll notify you.
What bell? Oh, the
Follow us. Oh, we also have.
oh, dude. Blank.
Well, we sort of have.
We're on social media platforms.
We're on Facebook, Reddit. We're on,
Instagram.
yeah, we're kind of a lot of places.
Snail
Kind of a
mail.
lot of places. Yeah, we'll snail mail you too.
What?
We will send you pictures through the mail of our artwork.
That is not where I thought that was going. We talked about stalkers and stuff, man. Whoa, that's not what
But
artwork.
you're not sending us things through the mail.
No. All right. That's a. So. Wait.
I brought it to that. What's up?
Taco of the day.
Taco of the day. Is
Who?
it taco of the day?
It's taco of the day. Who gets taco of the
Are
day?
we giving a taco every episode?
Why not?
That's a lot of talk.
Well, I got lady of the night.
A clam taco.
Clamped.
Lady of the night. Giving a taco every day.
I got nothing in there. It's just a good way to itch the sinuses.
Anyways, continue. Who's the taco of the day?
I say Scotty for being our first guest.
Scooter.
I'm
Hey, there's your
traumatized.
taco. Grab your taco.
Oh,
Be careful with it. Don't drop it.
I want one to eat.
I need two, actually. I'm hungry.
I usually tell people that they have to buy them.
Anyway. If you know Scotty, I don't know him, so I'm not buying him anything.
I know him too well. I've seen his butt. So I'm
He's not
saying
really
anything.
here. It's like a telecommunication
Yeah.
conference thing.
So if you know him, buy him a taco because it's going to be the best tacos he's ever had.
All right.
Got
All
him.
right. Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flippity flip.